Okay, on problem 10, students are selling raffle tickets for a school fundraiser, and it tells you that they collect $24 for every 10 raffle tickets. And question A asks for you to write an equation that represents the situation where Y is the money and X is the tickets. So we're going to have an equation in the form of Y equals mx. To be able to write the equation, we need to first find the slope. So we need to use the information that we know about $24 for 10 tickets and figure out how much it is for one ticket. So if you do 24 divided by 10, that gives you the decimal 2.4 or $2.40. So it's $2.40 per ticket. So over here, our equation is going to be y equals 2.40x. And so that is your equation. On part B, it says to label and scale the axis and graph the situation with money on the vertical axis, which is your y-axis, and number of tickets on the horizontal, or your x. And it says to make sure that the scale is large enough to show how much money they would make if they were to sell 1,000 tickets. So we have to make sure that down here we're able, we scale it by a number large enough that 1,000 tickets is able to fit. So what I would suggest maybe doing is just going up by 100 each time. So now that I have the y or the x-axis scaled and I've gone by hundreds, I need to decide a good scale for the y-axis. Well, if I'm going to go up by hundreds each time for the ticket, I'm going to go ahead and figure out how much 100 tickets is going to cost me. And I'm going to use that to scale my y-axis. So I'm going to multiply that by 240. Or by $2.40, so 100 tickets is going to cost us $240. So I'm just going to scale the y-axis by 240. Once you got it labeled, then you're ready to apply your points. So 100 tickets is going to be $240. 200 tickets is going to be $480. 300 will be $720. 400, and if you're using a scale of 240 on the y, you're going to start to see a pattern here. And remember up here, so to make sure 1,000 tickets, I'll value 1,000 tickets. It's going to cost $2,400, or that's how much that they're going to make. Question 11, this is one where you're being asked to compare two things. So a contractor must haul a large amount of dirt to a work site. She collected information from two hauling companies. Easy Excavation gives its price in a table, so the table is going to tell us about Easy Excavation, and then the graph is going to tell us about the Happy Hauling Service. So the first question is, how much would each hauling company charge to haul 40 cubic yards of dirt? So the first thing that we need to look at is figure out from the table how much that they charge for 1 cubic yard. So to do that, I'm going to find the slopes. We're going to do y divided by x. So we're going to do $196 divided by 8 cubic yards. And what that gives us is $24.50. And that is going to be the price for 1 yard. And then looking at the graph, we can come over here and we can find the slope. We can also find 1 cubic yard on this graph, and we can see that that's going to cost $25. So Happy Hauling Service is charging $25 per cubic yard. So I want to know how much each hauling company would charge for 40, so we can turn these into equations. So the easy excavation would be y equals 2450x, and Happy Hauling is going to be y equals 25x, and then we're just going to plug in that 40 cubic yards for x on both equations and multiply. We do 2450 times 40 here, we get 980, and then 25 times 40 gives us 1,000. Up here, you also could have looked at the table and realized that 20 cubic yards was 490, so you could have doubled that to figure out the price for the easy excavation. On B, it asks you to calculate the rate of change. Remember, rate of change is the same thing as slope, but we found that up here already. It's the price for 1 cubic yard, so for easy excavation, the slope is 24.5, and then for Happy Hauling Service, it's 25. And what does it mean for each company? Well, it's the price per 1 cubic yard of dirt. Question C, it says if the contractor has 40 cubic yards of dirt to haul and a budget of $1,000, which hauling company should she hire? Well, up here we already have the prices for that, and if I want to save the most money, I'm going to hire the easy excavation. Because it's $20 less. If you wanted to go with the more expensive one, and you could argue that, I would count that as correct as well. Looking at 12, we're comparing two brownie recipes. So it says the graph shows the relationship between the number of cups of flour and the number of cups of sugar in Lynn's favorite brownie recipe, and the table shows the amount of flour and sugar needed for Noah's recipe. Again, the first thing that we want to do is to find slope, which will allow us to compare those. So if I look at the graph, I know that at 1 cup, we're somewhere between 0 and 1 on cups of flour, so that may not be the best point to use. So I'm going to go to the next point here. And this tells me that when there's 1 cup of flour, that 2 cups of sugar are being used. And so if we simplify that, it's going to be 0.5. So there's 0.5 cups of flour, or half a cup of flour per 1 cup sugar. And then the table is talking about Noah's. Again, we're going to do y divided by x, so flour divided by sugar. So we have 1 divided by 3/2, or 1 divided by 1.5. And when you type that in, you're going to get 0.67 cups flour per 1 cup sugar. And it might be helpful to go ahead and write these as equations. So for Lynn, it's going to be y equals 0.5x, where x is the sugar and y is the flour. For Noah, y equals 0.67x. Again, x is still your sugar, and y is your flour. So on A, it says Noah and Lynn buy a 12-cup bag of sugar and divide it evenly to make the recipes. If they use all of the sugar, how much flour did they need? So for this one, we're trying to find the y. We're going to find flour. If they buy a 12-cup bag of sugar and they divide that in half, then they're going to each have 6 cups of sugar. And sugar is our x. So in each of those equations, we're just going to plug in the 6 cups for x into our equation. So for Lynn, we're going to have y equals 0.5 times 6. And then for Noah, we're going to have y equals 0.67 times 6. When you multiply 0.5 times 6, that's going to give you 3 cups of flour. And then 0.67 times 6 is going to be 4.02 cups of flour. So we can see that Noah uses more flour when he's cooking his brownies than Lynn does. On question B, this time it's telling us that we're using 10 cups of flour, which is our y, and we're wanting to find the sugar. So again, we have a 10 cup bag. They're going to split that. So we're looking at 5 cups apiece. This is our y value because that is the flour, which is the y. So when we plug in this in our equation, we're plugging in for the y. So we're going to have 5 equals y. For Lynn, we're going to have 5 equals 0.5x. And then for Noah, we're going to have 5 is equal to 0.67x. And this time we want to solve for x. So this is a one-step equation. We're going to divide by the slope on both sides. And 5 divided by 0.5 is going to cancel. And that's going to give you 10 cups of sugar. And then over here, I'll cancel out and leave you with x. And then 5 divided by 0.67 is 7.5 cups of sugar. So you can see that Lynn uses the most sugar in her recipes. And that is it.